Well, good afternoon, Commanders. Welcome to League of Carnage, the racing channel. Today, I'm just going to do a very short video that talks about how to build Viper racers and other types of racers too. They're pretty straightforward. You just need access to a bunch of engineers and about $6 million. That's about it, just a little bit. So if you want to build something like one of these here, this is what I got on the screen. This is a Viper racer that somebody's gone and got all the extra doodads for, which don't add any weight to the ship. So makes them look pretty cool, or you can get different skins. Like this was mine before I went crazy and turned it into a reaver ship. And, a lot of stuff you can do with these, make them very pretty little Vipers. But anyhow, the first thing when you decide you want to build one of these little racing ships, the number one thing is you need to go and get a high performance engine or several of them. I got like four or five of each size in stock. These are special engines. You can't buy them from anywhere but here, these five places. So, and you have to have access to them to be able to buy them. Able Laboratories, Cinder Dock, Farseer. So if you get in with Farseer, you can go buy those from her. That's the first engineer you get access to in Deciet, assuming you don't get ganked. Elva Martuk is another one. You'll probably get to her a little bit later. And Lunchain, Mel Brandon. And thought they used to sell them at Palin's, but I guess not. But anyhow, these five places, and you go to Fire Seer all the time. That's the first engineer you get to. So you get there, they sell size 2 and size 3 engines. They're just for the little ships, for sidewinders and eagles and things like that. They won't fit the bigger ships, but these will give you about a 45% increase in power. The downside though is that the size 2 runs for I think about 3 million and the size 3 runs for 5 million, and you'll be putting this into a ship that costs roughly 60,000 credits. So the engine is by far the most expensive thing. So by the time you get to doing this stuff, you should have the experience that $5 million is nothing. You need to be that far in the game. This is not something that new players are going to do. New players, if you want to race, you want to do sidewinder, stock sidewinder races, or SRV races, or even fighter races. Because fighters, you can just buy those as soon as you can afford them. But getting into these Viper racers, they're high end. You need at least 6 engineers and millions. So anyhow, first step, we got done. We bought the engines. We bought the ship and we're ready to do something with them. So let me show you here. This is a Viper stripped down. This is about as fast as they'll go. You can tweak them and let them go a little bit faster. Up here, you see 725 is their cruise velocity, which is double a normal ship. And they'll boost to 906. And I've boosted these to like 920 before. You got to really, really gut them. Now, this is really great. But keep in mind, if you're canyon racing, you're probably not going to run quite this naked. I would not go canyon racing without some shields, or you're going to be facing a lot of rebuy screens and you're not going to finish many races. So I tend to run with a shield. But every race, you equip your ship differently. So sometimes you may add shields. Other races may just be flat out high speed, maximum speed runs, and you'll strip them down to nothing. You'll take off the landing gear if you have to. But you'll just strip them down and gut them. Others, you need to put few more provisos on them. So, first thing, let's take a look here. We've got the enhanced performance engines. These are engineered to dirty grade 5 and drag drives. So that's the first thing you do with those, and that really boosts your speed up. Uh, Other things that need engineering: armor, lightweight, grade 5. Get that stuff as light as possible. Take the base armor and lighten it as much as you possibly can. After the armor, power plant. You're going to want to probably overcharge it and either monster it or strip it down. Uh, Let's take a look. We're at 725 and 906. And if I strip it down, yep, it gives us a couple more meters per second. So strip that down. You're going to want to frame shift drive that. You're going to want to strip it down too. And this is one of the problems with these little ships. In order to get these monumental speeds, you have to take that frame shift drive and downgrade it from a 3 to a 2D. That's the lightest one you can fit in there that'll still go. But suppose you say, well, I'd like to have an SCO in there. You can't put a SCO, a 2D SCO in there. It just won't work. You have to step it up, and in order to get SCO, you're back at a 3. You're like at a 3D, and then you're giving up a bunch of stuff here. So unless you're doing some kind of buckyball races that require you to zip around the system, I would just leave this with a straight FSD drive. I wouldn't put an SCO in here because you have to upsize it to make an SCO fit in the Viper. Um, but like I said, if you're doing buckyball, with buckyball, they do a lot of stuff where you may start on foot, jump in an SRV, jump in a ship, fly to another planet, get out, and you may need some Super Cruise assist. And if you're going to be in a race like that, then by all means, park this one and put an SCO drive and tune it up and go race and be competitive. But for most racing, you're just going to want to strip this down to get these velocities, to get 728 and 909. You're going to want to strip that thing down as far as you can. Life support, grade 5 lightweight. You want that thing light as possible. Don't worry about life support because you're not going to live long enough to use it in one of these things. Power distributor, same thing. It is downsized. Notice these are all, except for the life support, all downsized, downsized. Engine grade, level 2. That's as high as I went on this. You didn't need that much more engineering. It wasn't going to improve it anymore. And it's stripped down. You just strip that thing down, takes 10% off. The sensors, lightweight, lightweight. In fact, honestly, when it comes to sensors, there are really only two engineering brews that I work with, and it's either lightweight for the ships that I need to go really fast, or it's the wide angle, which I use for ships that I hunt with or ships that I might worry about people coming after me in. And when you get that to the wide angle, engineered to level 5 wide angle, you're basically able to scan things all the way out perpendicular to your path. I mean, literally people who are 90 degrees off from you, you can scan them off to your obliques. So that's why I like that one. If I'm out hunting, I like to be able to scan people without having to nose around. But yeah, lightweight grade 5. And fuel tanks, you can't do anything. It's already a 1C fuel tank. I downsized it. I think this was a size 2, and I downsized it to a 1C fuel tank. You're not really going many places with these. These are meant to run around a racetrack really fast. We do have a fuel scoop, because in case I do have to ever travel anywhere. But honestly, I usually trailer these things in my fleet carrier because they have no range at all. This thing will jump like 7 light years at a time. It's just not even. Yeah, yeah, it'll do 1057 fully engineered, and most of them will do even less. Which is kind of a problem. I had a case recently where I was pretty far from the nearest jail, and I accidentally committed a crime during a race and crashed, and they sent me to jail, and it was 120 jumps to get back to my fleet carrier. I was so far from the race site. There's no way I'm gonna do it in this ship. This thing just tiny, tiny jumps, and it was 1,100 light years away, so I had to actually call the fleet carrier to come pick me up, and I had to have my crew bail me out of jail. Yeah. So anyhow, this here 728 909, you can get a little bit faster with some creative engineering. Uh let's look at some of the other ships that can be gussied up, because one of the things that is kind of fun once you get rich and Elite Dangerous and you got money to throw around, you can go back and start exploring a lot of the little ships. And some of the ships that you may have tried when you were coming up through the ranks and thought, oh man, that ship's crap. When you go back and put good parts in them, fully engineer them, several of them really, really shine. Some of them just don't get any better, but some of them are really fun. But let's just go over a couple of ones that I've got like 5 different racing ships for different stuff, just for fun. I just like to soup them up. So let's start with a classic Sidewinder. This is a racing Sidewinder. I've got it stripped down to nothing. It'll do 513, 745. So if you ever wondered what is the most you're ever going to wring out of a Sidewinder, that's it. 513, 745. And it's got a slow boost. Boost is like every 14 seconds, and it's a short little 4-second boost. So you can't really stay much above 513. Not like in a crate, where a crate you can stay here because the boost is so fast in a crate, you can stay somewhere between cruise and boost. But in this one, you can boost to 745, and then before you get to another boost, you'll be well back at 513 again. Actually, probably not even that, maybe a little slower. But again, the same principles apply to this ship as the one we just looked at. It's going to be lightweight, grade 5. It's gonna be power plants are gonna be sized down. They're gonna be stripped down, overcharged, stripped down. We don't care about being fancy. We don't care if they generate heat. We don't care about any of that. All we care about with one of these ships is it go fast. We don't care about it being purty or it being in tolerances, just fast. That's all we care about. You got the enhanced performance engine. Again, this is gonna be grade 5. Dirty drives, drag drives, grade 5. I love that combination. And of course, this is all light. Now, this one I actually did put an SCO on. I was able to down because it's a 2, and that's as far as you can go as a 2A. So I could probably put a smaller, lighter frame shift on here and boost a little bit more out of this thing. But I kind of like having the SCO to get around. It's kind of fun to have. Um, Once you get used to SCO. Life support, grade 5 lightweight power distributor, stripped down. Sensors stripped down. Fuel tank is, well, it's already the smallest fuel tank you can get. So I do have a fuel scoop. Fuel scoops don't have any weight, so you should always put a fuel scoop on a ship. You never want to not have a ship. And ideally, you want to put a fuel scoop in the biggest slot available. Because here's the thing about fuel scoops. The vast majority of questions about fuel scoops can be answered by the simple response, it needs a bigger fuel scoop. So if you have a question about fuel scoops not working, the answer is get a bigger scoop. That's it. That's all there is to it. Get the biggest scoop you can possibly carry. And I say that because if you're going to play this game, you're going to scoop a lot. You're going to scoop all the time. And if you get into exploration, you're going to scoop, 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 scoop. So you don't want to mess around. You don't want it to be grindy. Just put the biggest damn scoop you can find on there and fill up as quickly as possible. So that's a Sidewinder. Now we see what a side eel do. Let's look at an eagle. Now, I did an eagle simply because it's I couldn't find a use for it. When I went through and tried all the little ships, I just really couldn't find anything that the eagle was any good at. It's it's kind of a piece of junk. Even with A grade parts and engineering, it is still a flying turd sandwich. It's not a good combat ship. It's not particularly fast. It's not particularly maneuverable. It doesn't have great shields. It's a good target drone. If you need something to shoot at, that's what eagles are good for. I mean, honestly, I think I could kick more ass in my fully engineered Sidewinder. Not the one I just showed you. I have another Sidewinder that's just fully engineered and tweaked with weapons, and it would clean one of these things up all day long. It's a Sidewinder. It just kicked its ass. So, but here you go. This is the max speed, 493, 718. So it's I use this one as a trainer. Like if I find a new course and I just want to go work my way into it before I go get into the Viper, which is really slippery, I might jump into this thing and just go run the course. It's slow enough that I can handle it, that it's not really getting away from you and you can practice with it. And then when you're ready, you can transfer into the Viper because the Viper is really slippery and just so much faster. I mean, the Viper is almost twice as fast. It's, it's just fast. So this is the best you can get for an eagle. Here's another one. Other one I have, the Imperial Eagle. Now, the Imperial Eagle is actually that's one of the ships that really shines when you engineer it and you put good parts in it, and not just for racing. I mean, just for combat. I love my Imperial Eagle. I actually call it Murder Factory because that thing punches 3 levels above its own weight class. Properly engineered, it flies like an F-16. It just screams. It's got decent power. It'll hold its own against anything with anywhere near its weight class, and it's just fun to fly. But this one here, fully engineered, 640 meters per second cruise, 854 meters per second boost, and it's a 10-second boost. So it's actually got a better boost ratio than the Viper. The Viper is every 13 seconds, I think. Yeah, 13 seconds with a 5-second boost. But the Viper is markedly faster, 728 to 909 versus 640 to 854. So that little extra faster boost, that 5 seconds sooner boost, that really doesn't make a difference. It's just not as fast. But the Imperial Eagle does handle better than a Viper. Like I said, a Viper's slippery. So if you're going to race one of those, right after you build it, I suggest you sit down and learn to fly with flight assist off because the only way to fly one of those little things is to drift them. You have to be able to drift around the corner. And I suspect a lot of other pilots are doing it in third person view just so they can see the rocks around them because it's a pretty tough maneuver. But you got to be able to drift. You got to be able to do FA off at a very high rate of speed to really be able to handle that. The guys who can really kick butt racing, they they all drift, which is why I cover races and don't do races so much anymore because I get my butt kicked because I don't drift. So those that can't do become TV commentators, I guess, or YouTube enthusiasts or whatever. So let me see. Was there anything else I was going to go over today? I think that was basically it. Buy the enhanced performance engines. I suggest while you're there, you buy several because you can always put them in. Lots of ships that need them. So that's it. One last time, you can get those from, oh, Palin. Palin has them. Sadesi has some. I'm not sure where Chloe is. Felicity Farseer sells those engines. Martuk sells those engines. And Mel Brandon sells those engines. So if you want to get into some racing, there you go. I will post some builds in the notes about the video. Keep in mind, those builds that I'm posting are the actual ships that I'm flying. The ones I showed you here were cleaned up. I stripped everything off of them for maximum possible speed. The links I'll post, though, those will be the ships more like how I actually fly them. Like I said, depending on the course, you may want shields. You may want a couple of extra accoutrements on your ship because it's those rocks are sharp and they're fast. So, but I think that about sums it up today. So, thank you for joining today. Go build yourself a racer, and I look forward to seeing you in the canyons. Oh seven, Commanders.